and welcome to the session on competency mapping. I'm Dr. Poonam Singh, Assistant Professor at the School of Management Studies, University of Hyderabad. In today's session, we will discuss the concept of competency. As to what is competency, what constitutes competency, the iceberg model of competency, the types of competency, and the advantage of a competency-based approach. We always refer people as an organization's greatest asset. By asset, we mean the competencies of people working in the organization. It is this competency that differentiates one organization to another and helps an organization to be a world-class organization through its superior performance. The concept of competency has gained prominence as it is associated with performance. In today's world, competency and competency analysis is applied in almost all HR functions, be it selection, be it training and development, performance management system, reward, career planning, and succession planning. Competency analysis is everywhere. So before we get into the concept of competency mapping, let's first understand the concept of competency. To start with, let's go back to the history of competency as to how did the journey start. In the year 1973, David McClelland published his paper titled Testing for Competency Rather than Intelligence, in which he discussed the limitation of a traditional test to predict job performance or success. He also highlighted that traditional tests were biased against minorities, women, and persons from lower socioeconomic strata. He felt that companies should hire based upon competencies rather than IQ scores only. These findings led to development of new methods that could predict human performance. The objective was to eliminate the potential biases of traditional intelligence and aptitude testing. This was the beginning of the field of competency, journey of identifying competency variables which could predict job performance and were not biased. A leading researcher in the area who is credited of popularizing the concept is Richard Boyatzis. In his book, The Competent Manager, A Model of Effective Performance in 1982, he defined competency as an underlying characteristic of a person that leads to or causes effective or superior performance. Taking the discussion forward, let's understand the concept further with the help of definition given by Spencer and Spencer in 1993. In their book titled Competence at Work, Model for Superior Performance, where they have defined competency as an underlying characteristic of an individual that is causally related to criterion referenced effective and or superior performance in a job or situation. Let's spend some time in understanding this definition. This definition has three important aspects. One, underlying characteristic. Competency is an underlying characteristics. Second, the term causally related. And third, criterion referenced. So what is underlying characteristic? As per the definition, underlying characteristics mean the competency is a fairly deep and enduring part of a person's personality and can predict behavior in a wide variety of situations and job tasks. In their book, Spencer and Spencer have mentioned 5 types of competency characteristics, which include motives, trait, self-concept, knowledge, and skill. Let's understand them one by one. Motive means things a person consistently thinks about and wants and that which causes action. An example to make it clear is the achievement motive. The second concept or the characteristic is what is the traits. Traits means physical characteristics and consistent response to situations or information. An example for your understanding include self-control or maintaining calm under stress. The third characteristic is self-concept, which means a person's self-image or value. Example could be self-confidence. The next characteristic is knowledge. Knowledge includes information a person has in specific content area. Example, a surgeon's knowledge of human anatomy. Skill is a learned ability. So, the example to explain skill is the surgeon's skill to perform surgery. Moving on, let's discuss the iceberg model to understand underlying characteristics and its relevance a little further. When we talk about iceberg, we generally use a statement saying that tip of the iceberg. It means that a small component of the iceberg is only visible, the major part is invisible or hidden. Tip of the iceberg represents only 10% of the iceberg which is visible, the rest 90% is hidden. Similarly, when we talk about underlying characteristic, it could be represented in the form of an iceberg model, wherein a small component is what is the visible component and there is a component which is a hidden component. Characteristics such as skill and knowledge are visible, whereas characteristics such as self-concept, trait, and motives are hidden characteristics. Visible characteristics tend to be on the surface and are easy to develop or provide training on, whereas the hidden characteristics are deep, they are difficult to develop, and henceforth for any organization it is cost effective to select for those characteristics. Candidates with these characteristics, it's always suggested to select candidates with these characteristics. The next aspect of the definition is what we discussed is causally related. Causally related means that it causes or predicts behavior and performance. It is said that competency always includes an intent, which is a motive or a trait force that causes action towards an outcome. This outcome is the job outcome or what we say performance. Moving on, the next term is criterion referenced. What does that mean? It means that competency actually predicts who does something well or poorly, as measured on a specific criterion or standard. Which means that a characteristic is not a competency unless it predicts something meaningful. The criteria which is most frequently used in competency study is performance, superior performance, and effective performance. Effective performance means a minimally accepted level of performance. Superior performance is higher level of performance, outstanding performance. Hence, competency are broadly divided into two categories based on the job performance criteria they predict. The first is what is called the threshold competency and the other is differentiating competency. Threshold competency are essential characteristics that everyone in the job needs to be minimally effective. Threshold competency leads to effective performance or average performance or minimally accepted performance. So the question is, what competency should I have extra than the threshold competency which will lead me to a superior performer? And that competency is what is called the differentiating competency. So a differentiating competency differentiates between a superior to an average performer, right? So to sum up, we can say that competency predicts performance. Performance could be superior performance or effective performance. And based on performance criterion, there are two broad categories of competency: threshold competency and the differentiating competency. Thus, if we can wind up and summarize the whole definition of competency, there are something that one has to understand. Competency is an approach which is person-based rather than job-based. It is a behavior rather than a skill or a ability. Competency is a characteristic of a person, and competency predicts performance. Thus, competency must be demonstrated and hence must be observable. To summarize and make it simpler, we can say that competency is about underlying characteristics which include knowledge, skill, motives, traits, and self-concept that enables an individual to perform in a superior manner. I hope you are clear with the concept of competency. Moving on. All this while, you've heard me using the term competency. But many a times you will hear the term competence. Are they one and the same, or are they different? People generally confuse between competency and competence. So what's the difference? So let's understand the difference between competency and competence, or have a clarity of the concept. As discussed earlier, competency is a person-related concept that refers to the dimensions of behavior lying behind a competent performer. On the other hand, competence is a work-related concept that refers to area of work at which the person is competent. There is another term called competencies. Competencies, meanwhile, refers to a combination of the above two concepts. To understand further, competence is a skill-based approach, whereas competency is behavior-based. Competence means skill and standard of performance achieved, whereas competency refers to the behavior by which it is achieved. Competence describes what a person can do, whereas competency focuses on how they do it, the behavioral aspect. So I hope the difference between competence and competency is clear. Moving forward, let's understand types of competencies. Many authors, books, or paper have mentioned about various types of competencies. But in today's session, I would like to introduce to you the following two types of competencies. One is technical competency and the other is behavioral competency. Now, what is technical competency? Technical competency is also known as functional competency. It is sometimes also referred as hard skills. These are job-specific skills required to perform a particular job role or profession. It typically involves demonstrating technical or expert knowledge. They can also be described as work-based or occupational competencies. It represents specific knowledge or skill, for example, knowledge of logistics, payroll management, ERP design and implementation, sales and marketing. Moving on, let's discuss the other type of competency, that is behavioral competency. Behavioral competency is defined as behavioral expectations. It is the type of behavior that is required to drive results. Example, team building, leadership, communication, decision making, and so on. It is referred as soft skills, and behavioral competency forms the very basis of the competency framework. These are also essential for effective managerial behavior. These are not particular to any functional area or any certain industry. Behavioral competency approach was first proposed by David McClelland in 1973. So two broad type of competencies, technical competency as well as behavioral competencies. Competency as a tool is useful just not for the organization, but is also a very useful tool for a manager as well as an individual. So we are discussing so much of competencies. So the very question that comes to your mind, why competency? What is the advantage of a competency-based approach? So let's discuss as to what are the benefits of a competency-based approach. In the beginning of this session, I mentioned that competency is everywhere. It is currently applied in all HR functions to improve the effectiveness of the HR function. Right? So the first benefit of applying competency is that the application of competencies to appraisal, training, recruitment and selection or any other HR process helps an organization to increase the employee performance. Second, it provides an opportunity to an organization to link HR systems with business objectives. It helps to acquire and develop competencies in line with organizational strategy, vision and mission. It helps an organization to adopt an integrated approach to people management, be it recruitment, selection, performance appraisal, training and development, career planning, succession planning, rewards. The basis of all HR function is competency. It provides a common language to any organization to define skill, knowledge and behavior required for successful performance in positions across the organization. Finally, a competency approach empowers an employee to become partner in his own performance development process through an increased employee self-awareness of their competency levels and an accountability for self-development. So these are the reasons why organizations are going for a competency approach. Before we move on to study the concept of competency mapping in detail, I would like to introduce you to some very important competencies concept. This will help you to understand the concept of competency mapping in a better way. To start with, the first term that I would like to introduce to you is competency identification. Now, what is competency identification? As the term identification means discovering or finding out, right? So, competency identification means the process of discovering as to what competencies are essential for superior performance. Now, how do we do that? We will study this in detail in the next session, but to give you a brief idea, competency identification requires a lot of data collection. Data collection with respect to the kind of task and activity that is carried for a role or a job. So we collect a lot of data, and the data is collected from a wide variety of people. It is collected from the job holder, through interview process, through critical incident analysis. Data is collected from the star performer through interviewing. Data is collected from a wide variety of stakeholders. Data is collected from supervisor, from peer group, from subordinate, through the process of interviewing or focus group discussion. A list of competencies or a checklist of competencies is developed, and from there on we go on to identify 5 or 6 critical competencies for a particular role or a job. So it's a very exhaustive process which requires huge amount of data collection to identify critical competencies for a job or a role. The second concept that I would like to introduce to you is competency assessment. Competency assessment is the extent to which a given individual or a set of individuals possesses the required competency to perform a given job or a role. I repeat, competency assessment is a process to identify the extent to which a given individual possesses the required skill to do the job or perform a given role. The first concept I introduced was competency identification. This is competency assessment. Now, once you have identified what level is required to do a job, and then you assess to what extent does an individual possesses the competency, you are able to identify the competency gap. There are very many tools to perform a competency assessment. We are going to study that in detail in the next session, but some very popular tools, the two of them which is very popular is Assessment Center and 360-degree feedback. Moving on, the other concept that is very important is competency profile. Now, what is a competency profile? In simple words, it is a document that describes the set of competencies particular to a position, job, function, or a occupational group. I repeat, competency profile include documents that describe set of competencies particular to a position, job, function, or a occupational group. The next concept is competency framework. Now, what is a competency framework? Competency framework includes definitions of all the competencies used in the whole or part of an organization. A competency framework is the basis for the use of competency in areas such as recruitment, employee training and development, performance management, or reward. Moving on, the next concept is competency dictionary. A competency dictionary is a part of a competency framework. Now, what is a competency dictionary? It is a detailed repository of competencies. What does that mean? It includes all key competencies, just not the names, but also the definition. It just not includes the definition, but also the level of competencies and behavioral indicators or descriptors. Now, let me explain this further. For example, if one of the key competency is leadership, so a dictionary will just not contain the term leadership as a key competency, but it will also define as to what is leadership. Defining leadership is very, very important so that everybody is on the same page when they approach a competency. Now, again, what is again very, very important is that just not the definition, but also the level of competency. Now, for example, leadership as a competency is important across all levels in an organization, from lower level to middle level to senior management. But is the level of competency the same? No. So, for each function, what is the level of competency required? Now, in the previous discussion, I had mentioned that competency should be demonstrated or it should be observable. So if a competency is at level 1, what does that mean? What should be the behavioral descriptor of a competency at level 1? If a competency is at level 3, what is the description or the behavioral descriptor or indicator for level 3? So a competency dictionary has key competencies, the name, the definition, the level of competencies as well as behavioral indicators or descriptors. A little more information about competency dictionary. Generally, competencies are classified into clusters. Could be clusters of 3 to 6. Generally, that's the trend. Similar to the format of a dictionary. Now, each cluster will then have 2 to 3 competencies. Again, the format of a usual dictionary. Now, each competencies will have behavioral indicators. Roughly, the trend is of having 3 to 6 behavioral indicators. And also competency levels, which is also of the range of 3 to 6 levels. Like competency levels of 3 type could be at basic level, intermediate level or an advanced level. Or if we make a competency level of level 4. So level 1, 2, 3, 4, which could be named as again basic, intermediate, advanced or master level. Right? So a dictionary consists key competencies, definition of the competencies, level of competency and behavioral indicators. Moving on to the last term, and the term is competency mapping. So what is competency mapping? We will have a very detailed discussion in the upcoming session on competency mapping, but just the definition or the concept as to what is competency mapping. Competency mapping is the process of identification of competencies required to perform successfully a given job or a role or a set of tasks at a given point of time. I repeat, competency mapping is the process of identification of the competencies required to perform successfully a given job or role or set of tasks at a given point of time. So what does it include? It involves breaking a given role or job into its constituent tasks or activities and identifying the competencies needed to perform the task or activities successfully. Hence, competency mapping determines the extent to which various competencies related to job are possessed by a job holder. What is the required competency? 2. What is the possessed competency by the job holder? Hence, it helps to identify the gap in competencies so that people could be trained or developed to achieve higher level of performance. I hope the concept of competency mapping or what is competency mapping is clear to you. With this, we come to the end of this session. I hope you are clear with the concept of what is competency. In the upcoming session, which is totally dedicated to competency mapping, we will study the process of competency mapping, tools and techniques of competency mapping, and applications of competency mapping. So this is all that I have for today. Thank you. Happy learning.